Please go to finneganswakeNotes.net for a full explanation of the text, and please don't forget to hit the like button.
Welcome to episode 22 of the Reading Finnegans Wake in 200 Sessions podcast, where we analyze Finnegans Wake by James Joyce 3 pages at a time. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Today, we're embarking on a dedicated deep dive into pages 72 through 74 of James Joyce's Finnegans Wake. If you've encountered this monumental work before, well, you know it's a labyrinth of language and meaning. Our mission today is to act as your guides, pulling out the most important sort of nuggets of knowledge and insight from these intensely dense and rich pages, making them not just understandable, but, we hope, genuinely captivating for you. It's time to plunge in.
And what a rich tapestry of language, history, and dream logic these pages weave. I mean, really. Joyce, with his unparalleled mastery, has embedded layer upon layer of meaning into every line, every word, sometimes even, into the very sounds themselves. This particular section, though, while it's a mere 3 pages in the vast ocean of the Wake, but it offers an extraordinary window into the dream state of our perpetually transforming protagonist, HCE. And more than that, it deeply enhances our understanding of the cyclical nature of the entire narrative. It invites us to see how linguistic ingenuity, profound historical allusions, and surprising psychological insights all converge. It's a journey into a unique form of thematic synthesis that only Joyce could craft, really.
I couldn't agree more. These pages are like a microcosm of the entire book's ambition. So let's start our exploration by focusing on a distinct segment. The Bull's Exit, a dream state transgression. We'll be digging into lines 072.25 through 073.22, where we're introduced to a rather unsavory character, a considerably unpleasant Bullicky, and his peculiar cricket antics. This isn't just a simple hostile act, is it? It's absolutely teeming with layers of embedded meaning, hinting at personal insults, historical feuds, and even the subconscious mind.
Indeed. Joyce immediately sets up this scene of veiled aggression and departure with this character. He's described as that more than considerably unpleasant Bullicky before he rang off drunkishly. Now, the primary meaning of Bullicky is, a bullock driver, someone who works with oxen. It implies a coarse or brutish figure.
Okay.
But in the world of the Wake, very little is ever just one thing, right?
Right.
Here, it also cleverly carries a meta layer, a subtle jab at Shane Bullock, an Irish novelist who is known for his criticisms of Joyce. It's almost as if Joyce is returning a literary punch,
Ah, okay. A bit of score settling, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah. And that phrase rang off, while it certainly suggests terminating a telephone call, perhaps in a fit of drunken pique, it also has a rather bawdy historical resonance. It actually appears in a 1684 pornographic play.
Really?
Yeah. So Joyce is instantly adding this layer of crude, possibly scandalous undertone to this character's exit, right from the start.
What's truly remarkable here is how Joyce takes this character and has him performing a seemingly mundane yet deeply symbolic act. He pegged a few Gladstones, all of a size, by way of final mocks for his grapes at the wicket. So peg means to aim a missile, to throw something, right? That seems straightforward enough.
Well, yes, but the genius lies in the double meaning. In cricket, a peg also refers to a stump, which is an integral part of the wicket itself.
Ah, I see.
So he's throwing at the very thing he's also named for, or related to in a way.
Okay.
And these aren't just any stones, they're Glatstones. Glat is German for smooth or polished. And it's a brilliant pun on Gladstone, the influential British Prime Minister who's famously known as the Grand Old Man, a title also affectionately given to the legendary English cricketer W.G. Grace.
Wow. Okay, so Gladstone, cricket,
Yeah.
all packed into throwing smooth stones.
Exactly. And this act immediately calls to mind the well-known proverb, people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Right.
By associating the stones with Gladstone, Joyce subtly hints at political hypocrisy or a public figure's vulnerability, all while maintaining that cricket metaphor. The phrase, for his grapes, is another rich allusion. It harks back to Esop's fable of the fox and the grapes.
Ah, the sour grapes.
Precisely. The fox who declares the grapes are sour because he can't reach them. This ties into the recurring Muxe and the grapes motif in the Wake. It suggests the assailant here is mocking or deriding something he desires but cannot obtain, or perhaps something he finds unpalatable. And the wicket itself, beyond its obvious cricket meaning as the structure defended by the batsman, also means a small gate or entrance.
So it implies HCE's domain or identity is being targeted.
Exactly. It's a fantastic example of how a single action can be so densely packed with personal insult, literary allusion, and sporting metaphors all at once.
It certainly makes you appreciate Joyce's unparalleled linguistic craft, how he takes a mundane action and just transforms it into this multi-layered commentary. But the character isn't done yet, is he? He claims he was not Guelphy, but after he had so Slongavali'd.
Right, and this intentional misspelling of guilty to Guelphy isn't accidental. It's a deliberate nod to the Guelf faction, the historical rivals of the Ghibellines in medieval Italy.
Okay. So more history layered in.
Immediately embedding a sense of political or factional conflict into this drunken outburst. And the phrase Slongavali'd is just a masterful blend of three distinct ideas. You've got the Irish so, slánapale, which means safe home or farewell, combined with slung, meaning to throw, and volley, to utter rapidly or discharge missiles.
So he's delivering a verbal and physical assault that's wrapped up in a kind of aggressive farewell.
That's it, exactly. It shows us how Joyce weaponizes language. Every stone thrown, every cricket term isn't just descriptive. It's a multi-layered jab, a historical echo, and a psychological revelation. It transforms a seemingly mundane act into a microcosm of conflict and cultural memory.
It really does. It's an invitation to lean in and truly savor the linguistic architecture, as you said.
Precisely. But Joyce doesn't stop at external actions. Our next point delves into the dream's unconscious unveiling, from lines 072.29 to 072.32. Here, the character's internal psychological state is profoundly explored, connecting to established dream theories and underlying feelings of guilt. We find him reconnoitering through his semi-subconscious the seriousness of what he might have done.
Reconnoiter is such a rich word choice there, isn't it? It's typically a military term, meaning to explore an area to gather intelligence, often about enemy presence.
Right.
But it also has roots in the French reconnaître, meaning to recognize or to acknowledge.
Exactly. So this character is simultaneously scouting an internal, possibly hostile psychological landscape, and perhaps on the verge of recognizing or acknowledging something profound about himself.
And Joyce's specific use of semi-subconscious is key, right? His own notes show engagement with these ideas.
Absolutely. His notes for Finnegans Wake show a deep engagement with these nascent psychoanalytic concepts. This immediately pulls us into the fascinating realm of the dream state. As theorized by giants like Freud and Jung, both saw dreams as a crucial interaction between the conscious and unconscious mind, with the unconscious often being the dominant revealing force, conveying its own unique mental activity. While Freud believed in a form of dream censorship, Jung, in particular, argued that the bizarre, seemingly nonsensical nature of dreams is, in fact, an incredibly efficient and symbolic language.
It's like poetry.
Much like poetry, yeah.
Yeah.
Uniquely capable of revealing underlying truths about our psyche. In this passage, the character is potentially experiencing what are known as absent-minded transgression dreams.
Damp-tea dreams.
Damp dreams, what are those? Oh, right, sorry. It stands for dreams of absent-minded transgression. So, like, if you're trying to quit smoking and you dream of lighting up a cigarette...
Ah, okay. Acting out what you're trying to avoid.
Exactly. These dreams often result in waking with intense feelings of guilt or anxiety, which directly connects to HCE's potential deep-seated guilt surrounding his own past transgressions. The question, had he really polished off his terrible intentions, uses polished off colloquially for getting rid of something quickly defeating or even killing clandestinely.
Right.
But it also hints at pulled off, meaning to successfully carry out. This ambiguity just adds to the sense of a hidden, unacknowledged guilt.
So this isn't just about a character's dream. It's Joyce inviting us, the readers, to consider how our own subconscious grapples with actions we regret.
Exactly. And how the dream state can be a brutal, unfiltered confessor.
That's a powerful insight. It really demonstrates how the novel operates on a subconscious level, inviting you to reflect on your own dream experiences.
As we move on, we see a shift in the Bullicky's demeanor, don't we? That initial aggression seems to fade a bit.
It does, yes.
Our next point explores shifting intentions and symbolic departures from lines 072.32 to 073.02. How does Joyce's language reflect this change, moving from aggression to something more resigned?
The change is almost immediate and wonderfully depicted. He finally caused him to change the bawling and leave down the whole grimace of Brook Pebble's ping pong.
Change the bawling, so changing his shouting.
Yeah, but change the bowling is also a clear cricket term, signifying a distinct change of tactic.
Nah, right. Still with the cricket.
Always. So his aggressive outburst gives way to a more subdued action. Grimace is Latin for a small hillock or a little heap. So we have this image of a small pile of pebbles falling with the onomatopoeic pang-pung. It's a vivid auditory detail that feels almost, well, melancholic. And then the description of his new state. Having sobered up a bit, paces his ground-dulled diabolin lion dub, the flay the phlegm, the floaty fleshner. Paces. That could be present tense, or maybe it's still cricket.
It could be both. Some scholars note it as a present tense shift, but it also cleverly refers to the pace of the ground in cricket, keeping that metaphor humming along. Ground dude connects back to grand old man, echoing W.G. Grace, maybe suggesting a weary age.
Okay.
But then we encounter this incredible linguistic blend, diabolin lion dub.
That sounds complex.
It combines the French diable for devil, Dublin itself, and the Irish lion dub.
Which means?
It signifies melancholy or black bile, but it also refers to porter or stout.
So he's pacing his melancholy, devilish Dublin stout. That's amazing.
It's an entire state of being compressed into a few words, just astounding. And the subsequent alliteration in the flay the phlegm, the floaty fleshner, is this delightful, almost poetic sound play. It dances between phlegm, using the old spelling, phlegm, fright, flow like a sheet of ice, suggesting coldness, by bloody, and freshener. It creates this sensory image of a chilling, perhaps somewhat stiff or phlegmatic departure.
And we can't ignore that parenthetical outburst, can we? Purse, Percy first, I'll splish the sploom of them all.
Definitely not. This is a dense knot of meanings. You've got Norwegian penchpung for purse, a clear reference to Perce O'Reilly, one of HCE's many forms.
Right.
Curse and furze, the gorse shrub. Then I'll splish the splume, combine splash and spume, foam, creating this violent, almost frothing image. It even subtly alludes to Wilhelm Busch's famous story, Plish und Plum, about two mischievous dogs.
Wow. It's just testament to Joyce's sheer inventiveness, isn't it? Compressing so many meanings into what looks like a single fleeting thought.
It really is.
And then the ultimate departure. This backblocks Boer, brusquely put out his language, and quite quit the paleologic scene.
Right. Backblocks is Australian for remote land, suggesting a provincial or uncivilized origin for this boor, this rude fellow. He leaves brusquely, or briskly.
And language plus.
Language plus the visual image of cuneiform script as wedge-shaped, implying a very ancient, even primitive form of communication being put out, like a tongue or maybe dismissed.
Okay.
And to quite quit the paleologic scene refers to the archaic science of antiquities, or the Paleolog dynasty. It signifies a definitive departure from the old, the primitive, or the archaic.
The way Joyce compresses multiple meanings into single words here is simply stunning. You really have to listen closely, appreciate the craft.
Absolutely. It demands and rewards that kind of close listening. Now, this character, before he fully departs, issues a very aggressive challenge. Let's delve into an exhortation to earwicker, challenges and allusions, from lines 073.02 to 073.12. The protagonist, who started as the Bullicky, now issues this direct and rather hostile challenge to earwicker, and it's interwoven with a dense web of historical and mythological references. He begins by stating that by his self-denying ordinance, he had left Highland on the dissenting table.
Okay, self-denying ordinance. That sounds historical.
It is. It was an act of the English Parliament in 1645 requiring MPs to resign military commissions. So there's this official, almost governmental feel to his pronouncement.
And ordnance. Military gear, but also...
Military equipment, yes. But it also carries the Danish ord for word, suggesting a powerful, almost authoritative declaration.
Okay. And Highland.
C. Highland, a manager of the Gaiety Theatre in Dublin. A figure from local history. To be left on the dissenting table implies disagreement, opposition, but it also evocatively conjures a dissecting table, echoing Charles Gavin Duffy's famous quote about Ireland being dissected by foreign powers.
So it layers political, military, and theatrical elements into a very personal slight against Highland.
Precisely. Then comes the direct, almost confrontational challenge to HCE. After exhorting earwicker, or in slightly modified phraseology, Messrs. or Mrs. Earwicker, seer, his feminizable name of multitude, to Coco come outside to Mockerloo out of that for the honor of Crumlin.
Wow, okay, lots of ways to address HCE there. Mrs. or Mrs. Earwicker.
Suggesting his mutable, multifaceted identity, seer combines sir with seer, adding a prophetic or reverent tone amidst the insult.
And feminizable name of multitude. That sounds significant.
It is. Multitude directly references Luke 8.30 in the Bible, where devils entered a man, saying, legion, because many devils were entered into him.
So HCE is like a legion, a composite.
That's the suggestion. Not just an individual, but a composite, a legion of identities, perhaps even a host of demons.
And Coco come outside.
The Coco. It cleverly hints at a stuttering motif often associated with HCE's name, suggesting a difficulty in uttering his full, true identity.
Okay. And Mockerloo. Sounds like Waterloo.
Unmistakably, it evokes Waterloo, the famous battle, implying a decisive, perhaps mock combat. Out of that is a very common Irish expression meaning get out of here for good.
And Crumlin is a real place in Dublin.
A specific Dublin village, grounding this mythic challenge in a very local, tangible place. It's like a taunt to a legion of demons to come fight a decisive battle on the outskirts of Dublin.
And he adds insult to injury by declaring, with his broody old flishguds, Gog's curse to them.
Yeah, broody here is wonderfully ambiguous, suggesting both contemplative, maybe brooding, but also potentially bloody.
Uh-huh.
Flishguds points to heathen fish gods like Dagon, who were famously ridiculed in Ulysses. There's a delicious irony there given the ichthys symbol, the fish, as an early Christian symbol.
Right.
Gog is a legendary giant from various mythologies, often associated with apocalyptic figures, and Thym is that distinctive Anglo-Irish pronunciation for them, grounding the curse in local vernacular.
So it's a pagan curse laced with Irish colloquialism.
Exactly. And the threats continue to escalate in this gloriously complex fashion. So as he could Brian Slog and burst 'em all dizzy, you go bail, like Pop's Fracture did with Kettle Flatnose and Know-It-All with Holiphemus.
Brian Slog, that's a great word. Brian Boru plus.
Brian Boru, the famous Irish High King, plus brain plus slog to hit or strike hard. So the speaker is threatening to literally knock HCE's brains out with a nationalistic resonance.
And you go bail.
An old Irish expression meaning you can be sure or you can guarantee it.
Okay, and the next bit. Pot's Fracture did with Kettle Flatnose.
Right. Pot's fracture is a specific type of ankle injury paired with Kettle Flatnose, referring to Catil Flatneb, a historical Viking chief. This immediately brings to mind the proverb, the pot calling the kettle black, suggesting hypocrisy or reciprocal accusations.
Ah, okay. And nobody all with Holiphemus. That sounds like Odysseus.
It is a direct and masterful allusion to Odysseus, who famously tricked the Cyclops, Polyphemus here, Holiphemus for holy, famous, by claiming his name was nobody. This echoes not only the cunning of Odysseus, but also the detail of Polyphemus throwing huge rocks at Odysseus' fleeing ship.
Which links back to the Glatstones thrown earlier.
Precisely. It all connects.
It's incredible how Joyce weaves such specific medical, historical, and mythological references into a single aggressive threat.
Isn't it?
And finally, the ultimate challenge. If he didn't, for 2 and 30 straws, be Cacao Campbell.
2 and 30 is 32, part of that recurring motif 1132 in the wake. Straws implies a small, almost negligible price, like a trivial wager. Cacao continues the stuttering motif associated with HCA, suggesting weakness or a faltering identity. And Thomas Campbell was a known cricketer.
So the whole sequence, from the initial aggression to this direct, layered challenge, shows Joyce transforming a simple insult into this incredibly rich canvas.
An aggressive challenge to HCE that becomes an incredible playground for Joyce's mind, demonstrating his unparalleled ability to layer a simple insult with a dense web of cultural and literary references.
Truly astonishing. Now, let's trace the character's retreat. It's not exactly quiet, is it?
Not at all. It's a continuation of this rich stream of consciousness. Point 1.5, a medley of history, mythology, and wordplay, covers lines 073.12 to 073.22. Here, the character's departure becomes a torrent of associations, blending military history, musical forms, and intensely personal allusions. He mutters, Batel Martel, a Brescia Milla, a Stroke a Bula.
That opening verse is so evocative. Batel Martel,
Yeah.
Charles Martel, the hammer.
Exactly. Famous for his victory at the Battle of Tours, a pivotal moment in European history. This martial reference is then paired with a rapid-fire sequence of primal Irish verbs.
A Brescia a Milla, a Stroka a Bula. What are those?
Agbrisade, breaking, agmulade, destroying, agstracad, tearing, and agblelade, beating. It's this rhythmic, almost percussive sonic assault. It combines the historical heft of martial prowess with these raw, destructive Irish verbs. It's less about the individual translations and more about the relentless percussive force Joyce conjures here.
Creating an immediate sonic and thematic sense of raw, destructive energy.
Precisely. And then, so the rage of Malbrook, playing on the least change of his Manchester's voice.
Malbrook s'en va en guerre, the old French folk song about the Duke of Marlborough.
That's the one, often sung as a lullaby. But it's also subtly linked to Leon Cavallo's opera Malbrook, where the character's rage stems from a romantic triangle.
Perhaps mirroring HCE's own domestic entanglements.
Could be. And then the brilliant pun, his magister's voice, merges his master's voice, the iconic gramophone company logo, with his majesties and jester, creating this playful mix of reverence, royal authority, and mockery, all dependent on the shifting tones of a voice.
And this next connection seems to open up an entirely new layer, doesn't it? The first heroic couplet from the fugal tropical, Opus Elf Thordito. My schemes into abeyance for this time has had to fall.
Yeah, this is dense. We have a heroic couplet, a traditional verse form, but then fugal refers to fugues in music, immediately linking to the complex, interwoven compositions of someone like Bach.
Okay.
Trope adds another musical layer, being a medieval musical embellishment, and Opus Elf Thordito is a classic Joycean numerical puzzle, Opus 11,032.
Right, 11 and 32 is recurring numbers, 11 for redemption, 32 for fall.
That's the common interpretation, yeah. It specifically connects to Romans 11.32 in the Bible. God has bound everyone over to disobedience so that he may have mercy on them all.
So his schemes are in abeyance, temporary suspension, but with the promise of eventual mercy or return?
That's the implication. It's a truly intricate weave of literature, music, and theology. The retreat continues with vivid imagery. They bid goodbye to their thumb, and his bandolier, his soldier, drip, drop, drop on pool or polger.
Bite one's thumb. That's a gesture of contempt, isn't it? Like in Romeo and Juliet?
It is, but it also strikingly references Finn McCool burning his thumb for wisdom, and they bid goodbye.
Okay.
The image of his bandolier, his soldier bandolier over his soldier, evokes a soldier preparing for departure or maybe lost in memory, and drip, drop, drop on pool or polger creates this gentle, almost melancholic soundscape. It alludes to the traditional Irish-American song, Off to Philadelphia in the Morning.
And polger.
Polder is a Dutch term for land reclaimed from the sea. It implies a journey over water or into a new, maybe artificial landscape. It's a departure, a soldier's farewell, a drop into memory in distant lands.
And finally, a truly bizarre yet revealing exit, preceded with a Hubble-forth slouch in his slips backwards at Curhealy.
It's great, isn't it? Hubble here could be Edwin Hubble, the astronomer, or Jack Hubble, the cricketer, keeping that theme alive. Hurdle Ford is an anglicized Dublin name.
Okay.
Slips is a cricket position, but also, bathing drawers. He moves backwards, a reverse motion that foreshadows the cyclical nature of the wake.
And the Latin phrase, et Curhealy, and why the sun?
Yes, but it's a clear and potent pun on et tu Healy, referring to Joyce's lost poem accusing Timothy Healy of betraying Charles Stewart Parnell, the Irish political leader.
Ah, so linking this departing figure to betrayal, like Judas.
However fleetingly, yes. And he retreats in the directions of the deaf and dumb institutions about 10 or 1100 years lurch away in the moonshiny gorge of Pat Self on the Back.
Adio.
Deaf and dumb institutions. Maybe Charles Gavin Duffy again.
Possibly. 1100 suggests a vast stretch of time or distance, implying a journey into the distant past or future.
And moonshiny gorge, illicit liquor, hidden places. Both, likely. Adding an element of clandestine activity or concealment. Pat Self on the Bach is a clever pun on Pat Self on the Back, self-congratulations, and Bach, German for Brook, tying into the Liffey and the flow of the narrative.
And he bids farewell with adio, which is Volapük for adieu.
Exactly. Joyce, ever the playful linguist, even dips into Volapük here. A fascinating choice because it was an early, ambitious attempt at a universal artificial language.
Much like the Wake itself tries to create a universal language of dreams and myth.
Precisely. This relentless flow of associations, transforming a simple departure into a microcosm of European history, literature, and linguistics, really showcases Joyce's genius for synthesis. It demands our attention at every turn.
It truly is a whirlwind, forcing you to engage with the sheer density of his creative mind. So the Bullicky makes his dramatic exit. But this departure isn't just an end, it marks the closing of a symbolic siege around HTE. And Joyce immediately grounds this fantastical event in the very real, very historical Dublin landscape, doesn't he?
He does.
Let's transition to Section 2. The siegings and echoes of Dublin and beyond, covering lines 073.23 to 073.27. Our first point, 2.1, is the rocket-like exit and Bully's Acre from lines 073.23 to 073.25.
Exactly. The narrative immediately connects this grand, almost mythic departure to specific, tangible Dublin locations, and thus, with this Rochley Exeter of Bully Acre, came to close that last stage in the sittings round our Archy Citadel.
Rochelle Exeter. That sounds complex again.
Right.
Rocket-like exit, rock throwing.
All of that, yeah. It suggests speed and drama, but also hints at the rock throwing, recalling the Glatstones. It strongly references Balfe's opera, The Siege of Rochelle, bringing in a theatrical sense of conflict, and incorporates the Latin exodus for going out.
And Bully's Acre, that's a real place, isn't it?
It's a profoundly significant Dublin landmark, one of the city's oldest cemeteries, located in Kilmainham. It also carries the double meaning of bully, implying admirable, and bullock, linking back to our departing character.
And it even connects to Clontarf, meaning Bull Meadow.
Exactly. So we have this rich mix of dramatic departure, rooted in local Dublin history, and subtle animalistic allusions. And the Archaic refers directly to Dublin Castle, the fortified heart of the city, symbolizing its political and cultural center.
Right.
The word sieging itself is a brilliant Joycean blend. It combines the act of besieging, a military encirclement, with the German Sie ging, meaning she went, and siegen, meaning to win.
So in a single word, Joyce is signaling both the end of a conflict, a departure, and a victory.
That's it. This really demonstrates how Joyce transforms local geography and historical moments into a stage for grand historical drama, inviting you to see the familiar with fresh, historically informed eyes, where every street name holds a story.
It truly does bridge the mythic and the mundane, making Dublin itself a character.
And building on this, our next point, 2.2, recalling sieges. A panoramic view from lines 073.25 to 073.27 expands the narrative to recall other famous sieges, emphasizing universal themes of defense, conflict, and, intriguingly, farewell drinks. He writes, "We would like to recall if old Nestor Alexis would wink the worth for us as Barleduc and Dog Doris and Bangin' Up Zoom."
Old Nestor, the wise elder from Homer representing ancient wisdom, and Alexis, the shepherd meaning help. So asking ancient wisdom for help or insight.
Pretty much, yeah. Asking Nestor to wink the worth or give the crucial tip or word of insight. But the real meat here, as you said, are these three distinct place names. Each one, in classic Joycean fashion, is absolutely saturated with historical and linguistic significance.
Okay, let's unpack them. Barleduc.
Critical staging area for the Battle of Verdun in 1916. A horrific and defiant stand during World War I. It's famously associated with the indomitable French slogan, "Ils ne passeront pas," they shall not pass.
Oh, okay. Images of blocking doors, defiance.
Exactly. Medals and posters from that era often depicted a figure physically blocking a door or gate. Then, Dog Doris.
That sounds Irish.
It's a brilliant play on the Anglo-Irish duach and dores, which literally means drink of the door, a parting drink, or a stirrup cup.
Right.
But it also evocatively suggests bar the door, dog at door, or bang on door, all images of exclusion or desperate entry.
And the last one, Bangin' Up Zoom.
A town in the Netherlands with a long history of being besieged. Bangen in Dutch means those who are afraid, and op means on. The combination powerfully creates the sense of someone afraid, perhaps desperate, banging on a barred door, emphasizing themes of fear, exclusion, and desperate attempts to enter or defend.
So this section serves as a remarkable condensed history lesson, using place names to evoke universal themes of conflict, defense, departure.
Offering a powerful shortcut to understanding complex cultural memory.
That's a powerful summary, really highlighting how Joyce's historical allusions resonate with universal human experiences. Now, as our assailant departs, it doesn't mean HCE is gone, does it?
Not at all.
On the contrary, even with the assailant's departure, HCE's presence absolutely lingers in the Dublin landscape, in its very geology. Let's shift our focus to Section 3, the Earth Sleep and Anticipated Return, covering lines 073.28 to 074.05. Our first point in this section, 3.1, is HCE's Memorials and the Landscape of Absence, from line 073.28 to 073.33.
The passage opens with this profound statement of HCE's lingering presence, even in absence. Yet he made leave to many a door beside of Oxman's wold, for so witness his chambered cairns a cloudlet litter silent, that are at brows uphill and down Coombe and on Eolithothus-Tritton.
Yet. What's going on there? Yet.
It's a fascinating blend. English yet, Volapük yet, and the Danish med live, meaning with life.
Okay, so implying he's not truly gone, just suspended.
Exactly. In a state of suspended animation or hidden vitality. Oxman Town refers to a historical part of northern Dublin where Vikings, or Ostmen, once lived, tying HCE to the ancient origins of the city. And those chambered cairns, ancient Stone Age burial monuments found across Ireland, powerfully symbolize HCE's enduring, perhaps buried presence.
Scattered like cloudlet lit silent, quiet, fragmented memorials across the landscape.
It's a beautiful image, these ancient monuments acting as silent witnesses to HCE's omnipresence. The phrase uphill and down Coombe echoes uphill and down dale, but Coombe specifically refers to a deep valley or hollow, and also to Dublin's Coombe Street, grounding the poetic image in specific Dublin geography.
Right. And then Eolithothus-Tritton.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful. What's in that?
It's a particularly brilliant Joycean neologism. It combines eolith, a primitive stone instrument from the dawn of human history, from Greek eos for dawn plus lysos for stone,
Yeah.
with lithostrotos, a Latin term for mosaic pavement, found in John 19.13, referring to the place where Pilate judged Jesus.
Wow. So fuser ancient human prehistory, archaeology, and biblical reference in one word.
Masterfully, yes. Anchoring HCE to the very bedrock of existence and the deep geological and spiritual past. Joyce then grounds this by naming specific familiar Dublin and County Wicklow locations, at Howth or at Coolock or even at Enniskerry, making the mythical tangible.
And he frames all of this as, what was it? A theory of evolution.
As a theory none too rectiligne of the evaluation of human society and a testament of the rocks from all the dead unto some the living.
Rectiligne meaning not a straight line. A cyclical theory.
Exactly, implying a non-linear, perhaps cyclical or meandering theory of development. Evaluation is a brilliant blend of evolution and evaluation. It directly links to scientific breakthroughs of the 19th century, Lyell's work on geology and fossils, Darwin's theory of evolution. And more than that, it speaks to humanity's constantly changing evaluation of its place in nature and history. The Testimony of the Rocks is also the title of a well-known book on geology by Hugh Miller.
So this entire passage literally weaves ancient landscapes, archaeological sites, and pivotal scientific theories into HCE's story.
Encouraging you to see geological time and human history not as separate, but as profoundly interwoven, with HCE himself being this timeless geological presence.
That is an incredibly expansive view, turning HCE into an almost elemental force embedded in the landscape itself.
Yes.
Our next point, 3.2, is evolution, history, and the gathered lambs, from lines 073.33 to 073.36. Here, those ancient chambered cans are reimagined as Oliver's lambs. That sounds loaded.
Indeed. We read, Oliver's lambs we do call them, scatterlings of a stone, and they shall be gathered unto him their herd and paladin. Oliver's lambs is a highly charged historical reference in Ireland. It was the colloquial name for Oliver Cromwell's soldiers, notorious for their brutal suppression of Irish Catholics.
Wow, okay, so that introduces a complex layer of historical grievance and conflict.
Right into what seems like a simple image. These lambs are described as scatterlings of a stone, meaning scattered fragments or vagrants. But scatter in Danish also means treasure, adding a potential layer of hidden value.
And the phrase, they shall be gathered unto him, sounds biblical, like for death.
It is a powerful biblical formula traditionally associated with death, but here it's repurposed for an awakening or a spiritual reunion, implying a collective coming together. The figure who gathers them is their herd and paladin, a shepherd, yes, but also a knightly hero, evoking Charlemagne's companions, Roland and Oliver, known for loyalty and valor.
Okay, this reunion is prophesied as nubilets to cumul, in that day when...
Nubilets are little clouds, from Latin nubula, which will to cumul form cumulus clouds, but also connecting to come and Cumhall, Finn McCool's father.
Right.
When blends when with the Danish aspiration, adding a subtle foreign texture.
It's a fascinating juxtaposition, isn't it? Cromwell, mythical heroes, natural phenomena. Joyce reconciling disparate elements.
Showing his ambition to reconcile disparate, often conflicting elements of human experience into a unified, cyclical narrative.
And this sense of impending return of figures destined to reemerge, it really builds, doesn't it?
It crescendos in our next point, 3.3, the hero's awakening. Legends converge from lines 073.36 to 074.05. This is a truly prophetic vision of HCE's awakening, drawing on an entire pantheon of legendary figures destined to return. We're told, in that day, when same the lightning lancer of Zava Arthur honored, some fin avant, his skull wake from earth sleep.
The imagery is incredibly grand. Lightning lancer, like a bolt of lightning, sudden, Powerful.
Illuminating, yes. Azava Arthur honored cleverly connects Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington, victor of Waterloo, with the Battle of Azava in Spain. But more significantly, it weaves in King Arthur, the legendary British monarch. This immediately links to the universal legends of a sleeping hero destined to awaken.
Right, like Arthur under the Hill.
Exactly. And then some Finn Avant. This clearly evokes Finn McCool, the great Irish mythological hero who, like Arthur, is prophesied to awaken when a horn is blown. It also subtly integrates Sinn Féin Amhain, the powerful Irish nationalist slogan meaning ourselves alone, suggesting a national awakening alongside the personal one.
Okay. The vision continues. Hot-crested Elmer in his vow of briars of green man's rise, oh, lost leaders live. The heroes return.
Hot means high or lofty, and Elmer evokes both the majestic elm tree and a helm, or helmet, suggesting a regal, protected figure. He's envisioned in a vale of briars, transforming the traditional vale of tears into a landscape of difficulties, but also of natural growth.
And the green man, symbol of regeneration.
A powerful pre-Christian embodiment of vegetal regeneration, nature's cyclical renewal. And it connects to a children's game, Green Man Riso.
And that interjection, last leaders live, the heroes return. That feels significant.
Incredibly potent. It directly alludes to Robert Browning's poem The Lost Leader, which criticized Wordsworth for abandoning liberal ideals. But here it's repurposed to tap into the universal, deeply resonant theme of returning heroes, mythological, historical, cultural. It's a rallying cry for the resurgence of forgotten or diminished greatness.
And the culmination of this prophecy is breathtaking. And o'er Dun and Dale the Wolver Overlord protect us. His mighty horn scowl roll, or inland roll.
Dun is an Irish word for a fort or stronghold. The Wolver Overlord is a fantastic Joycean compound, combining wolves with overlords, creating an image of a primal, powerful, almost terrifying figure.
The protect us has that touch of fearful awe.
It does, and the mighty horn clearly references Roland's legendary horn, Oliphant, blown at the Battle of Roncesvalles, signifying a moment of desperate need and heroic action.
And roll, Erland, roll.
It echoes the spiritual roll, Jordan, roll, and Byron's majestic line, roll on, thou deep and dark blue ocean.
It's a truly epic moment. You feel immersed in these grand narratives of heroic return. Joyce creating a universal myth from all these fragments.
Signaling that HCE is not merely a man, but a timeless recurring force. It's a truly exhilarating section, demonstrating the Wake's vast mythological scope.
Absolutely. Now let's move into section 4. The Divine Summons in Mirthful Rebirth, from line 074.06 to 074.12. This is where HCE's awakening is framed not just as heroic, but as a divine summons, echoing a pivotal biblical moment. Let's start with 4.1. God's Call and Abraham's Answer, from 074.06 to 074.08.
This passage is quite striking in its direct biblical resonance. It states, "For in those days his deus shall ask of Alprahom and call to him, Alprahom, and he make answer, add some."
In those days? Sounds biblical, like in Debus Illis.
Exactly, setting a sacred historical tone, signifying a momentous event. Deus is clearly the Latin Deus for God, emphasizing the divine nature of this summons. All prohom is a wonderful blend. It incorporates prohombre, Spanish for a great or honorable man, but most importantly, it unmistakably evokes Abraham, the patriarch.
Right. Genesis 22, God calling Abraham.
A direct, playful, yet profound reference to Genesis 22.1, where God calls Abraham, Abraham, and he said, "Here I am."
But HCE's response is, add some.
It's a comical, very human corruption of the Latin ad some, meaning, "Here I am," which was also a common schoolboy's roll call response.
Okay.
But it also slyly hints at Abraham's audacious haggling with God over the fate of Sodom, adding a touch of irreverent humor to a sacred moment.
It's a profound, yet wonderfully humorous way Joyce integrates biblical narratives, making HCE's story resonate with deep theological memory while keeping that lighthearted tone.
Precisely. And the passage continues, reinforcing HCE's core identity. Nor wink, nor wonk, anime diabolum, many credidisti mortum.
Nor wink nor wunk, like
Yeah.
he wasn't really gone or pretending not to be.
Emphasizes a state of complete, unwavering unconsciousness, or perhaps a playful denial. The Latin phrase, anima diabolum mene credidisti mortum, translates to, "Sold to the devil, did you believe me dead?"
Which is almost exactly the line from the ballad Finnegans Wake.
A direct echo. Phenomenon duel. Do you think I'm dead? This firmly underscores HCE's identity as the endlessly resurrecting, eternally returning figure, connecting his awakening to the very ballad that defines his cyclical narrative and the enduring Irish spirit.
It's brilliant how he ties it all back to the foundational story. Our next point, 4.2. The Unbelievable Death in Troy's Revival, from 074.09 to 074.10. Here, Joyce contrasts past silence and presumed death with future merriment, using allusions from classical tragedy to Irish romanticism. He writes, "Silence was in thy Fostive halls, O Triga, when thy green woods went dry."
This line is immediately recognizable as a direct allusion to Thomas More's Irish melodies, the lament "Silence is in our festal halls." It evokes past glory and subsequent desolation.
And Fostive. Festive, but also Faust. And Fist.
All of that. Festive, yes, but its sound subtly conjures Faust and his pact with the devil, adding a layer of tragic choice, and also German Faust for fist, suggesting clenched power. Triga refers to Troy, the classical city brought down by war, symbolizing past downfall or tragedy, but it also puns on the Irish trig, meaning cause of death.
So Festive Hall's now silent, a fallen city, withered woods, a landscape of loss.
Exactly. But the mood shifts dramatically and beautifully, promising renewal. But there will be sounds of many mirth on the night's ear-ringing.
Which is another Thomas More song. There are sounds of mirth.
Directly referencing it, yes. Promising a joyous, vibrant future, a complete reversal of the previous desolation.
It's a beautiful illustration of how cultural memory, from classical epic to romantic poetry, is constantly recycled and reimagined in the wake, always moving toward renewal.
A cycle of sorrow giving way to joy. It reminds us that even after perceived downfall, life and merriment will inevitably return.
A powerful message of hope and recurrence. And then, 4.3, The Patriarch's Awakening, a comical vision from lines over 74.1 Honda's 074.12. This is such a quintessentially Joycean moment, isn't it? Signaling the hero's return with this wonderfully mundane, slightly absurd act.
It really is. When our patriarch of Comes Down to Noble gets the pullover on his booth.
Patriarch, that's a brilliant blend. Pantomime, patriarch.
Pantomime suggesting something theatrical or comical. Patriarch signifying a venerable elder, but also pantry connecting him to domesticity, Greek pan for all, and pantria for wedding.
So he's universal, venerable, all-encompassing, yet fundamentally comical.
Exactly. Overseeing all aspects of life, even the most mundane, Comes Down to Noble is equally dense and playful. Comes down to evoking conclusion, plus Constantinople, the ancient capital, Serbo-Croatian Mesto town, and Noble, to swindle or steal. So he's a figure of universal significance, yet also a bit of a trickster, bringing things down to a human, earthy level.
And this final image is just pure comedic genius. Gets the pullover on his boots, mistaking a sweater for trousers or trying to put it on his feet.
It's a wonderfully relatable, humorous detail of waking up disoriented, confused, still half in a dream. It also connects to another Thomas More reference, the priest in his boots.
It's Joyce's brilliant use of humor and the absurd, reminding you that even the grandest myths have their grounding in everyday human experience.
The hero returns, but he's still a bit groggy and utterly human.
A perfectly human hero. His return is imminent, but for now, he rests. And that leads us to Section 5, HCE's Deep Slumber, a State of Hibernation, covering lines 0704.13 to 074.19. This section provides a vivid, almost grotesque, but profoundly descriptive account of HCE's physical state during his deep sleep, suggesting profound hibernation rather than death, a pause in the cycle. Let's start with 5.1. A state of suspended animation from 074.13 to 074.15.
The description is striking, almost visceral, yet conveys this sense of stillness and deep rest. Liver poor, sought a bit of it. His brain's cold parich, his pelt nasty, his heart's a drone, his bluid streams a crawl, his puff but a piff, his extremities extremely so.
Liver poor. Liverpool or poor liver?
Both. It's a clever pun, playing on the city, but also the idea of a poor liver, perhaps damaged by past indulgences. However, sought here means not, implying a playful denial. His liver isn't poor despite his past.
Okay, a playful dismissal of ill health.
Exactly. And the imagery continues with his brain's cooled parich. This evokes the proverbially bland brains cooled porridge, but also the saying, keep your breath to cool your porridge, meaning mind your own business.
Suggesting his mind is quiet, internal, unbothered.
Right. His pelt nasi uses pelt for human skin and the German nas for wet or damp, giving a slightly unpleasant, clammy quality to his sleeping form.
Okay.
His heart's a drone means it's giving a monotonous hum, a deep, steady rhythm, but not vigorously beating. His bluid streams a crawl indicates his blood is moving incredibly slowly, almost creeping.
Emphasizing suspended animation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
His puff but a piff describes very shallow, barely perceptible respiration, almost a whisper of breath. It also references piff paff from Meyerbeer's opera Le Suguenot. And his extremities, extremely so, is this wonderfully understated way of saying his limbs are very cold, perhaps stiff, or barely alive.
This entire sequence paints a detailed, visceral image of a body in deep, profound, suspended animation. Not quite dead, but not fully alive.
It's incredible how Joyce can make the inert feel intensely alive, or at least intensely present, through such rich description and suggestive wordplay.
It's an incredible evocation of slumber. Our next point, 5.2, the geographies of HCE's body from lines 074.15 to 074.17. This brilliantly illustrates how HCE's physical extremities are geographically dispersed across Dublin, symbolizing his omnipresent yet fragmented connection to the city itself. He is Dublin.
Precisely. We are given 4 distinct districts of Dublin representing the 4 cardinal points, each infused with a suggestive pun describing a part of his body. Thales, Pembroke, Chilblamen, and Baldol.
Okay, let's break this down. Fenglis.
Fenglis in the northwest, punning with Chinese wind and fanglis, suggesting no teeth or power.
Pembroke.
Pembroke in the southeast, suggesting the palm of hand. Palm and broken. Broke, perhaps referring to his hands.
Oh, man.
Kilmainham in the southwest, evoking chilblained, inflamed swellings from cold, possibly referring to his feet.
And Baldol.
Baldoyle in the northeast, playing on bald as an owl, clearly referring to his head. So his very body is literally spread across the map of Dublin.
Blurring the lines between man and city, individual and landscape. Incredible.
So his body is fragmented yet omnipresent, truly one with the city. And then the concise phrase, humph is in his doge.
Humph for HCE. Doge like the ruler of Venice, but also
puns with doze, slumber, and dotage, senility. This alludes to the proverb, let lying doges sleep, indicating a state of inert senile rule or a powerful figure resting. It also subtly plays with the Irish ta ina, meaning is in his, implying HCE is deeply embedded in this state.
Okay, and finally a statement about his detachment. Words weigh no more to him than raindrops to reaffirm him.
Right. To weigh one's words means to consider them carefully, but here words have no weight or significance for HCE in his deep slumber. They are as inconsequential as raindrops.
And Rathfarnham, the Dublin district.
Yes, but it also suggests refer to him and the German fern, distant, implying his mind is so deeply in slumber, so distant, that it is beyond the reach of language or external communication.
It's an ingenious way. Joyce transforms the urban map of Dublin into a representation of HCE's sleeping body, demonstrating his constant blurring of individual identity with the city.
And its rich tapestry of sounds and history.
That's a truly profound connection, making HCE indistinguishable from the very fabric of Dublin. And to round out this section, 5.3 is the soothing rain and the final S-stops, from 074.17 to 074.19. The natural, comforting sound of rain provides a peaceful backdrop to HCE's sleep, culminating in this visually and linguistically clever concluding word he writes, which we all like, rain, when we sleep, drops.
This is a universal sentiment, isn't it? The soothing, comforting quality of rain falling during sleep. It immediately connects with you, the listener, and plays on the idea of drifting off, drops asleep. But then Joyce, with his unparalleled genius, delivers a brilliant twist. But wait until our sleeping. Drain. Stops.
Stops, meaning stops.
Primarily stops, yeah. Signifying the end of the rain and, by extension, the end of HCE's slumber. But it also hints at the Italian stoppire, which means to uncouple or to open out, suggesting an unfolding or a new beginning.
And here's the absolute masterstroke, the visual pun you can literally see.
Indeed. Crucially, as many scholars have pointed out, if stops is rotated by 180 degrees, hold the page upside down, it again reads stops.
That's amazing.
This incredible visual pun highlights the deeply cyclical, reversible, and self-referential nature of the wake itself, and its overarching themes of perpetual recurrence, where endings are always new beginnings. Drain here links to Dublin's extensive system of drains, completing the circle of water, the city, and the hidden channels of life.
This final twist highlights Joyce's boundless creativity, even extending to the visual presentation of text, leaving you with a profound sense of the wake's cyclical, endlessly self-referential nature.
A text that truly embodies its own themes.
This is truly a deep dive not just into text, but into the very creative mind itself. Now let's pull back and look at Section 6. Overarching themes and scholars' insights. These pages, as incredibly dense as they are, contribute significantly to the larger philosophical and narrative framework of the Wake. Our first point, 6.1, focuses on the blurring of identities, HCE and his antagonists. This revisits crucial insights from scholars like Joseph Campbell and Dennis Rose, who argue that throughout Chapter 3, the line between HCE and his supposed antagonists often completely dissolves.
This is arguably one of the most crucial aha moments for understanding the Wake's unique approach to character and narrative. Joseph Campbell, the renowned mythologist, observed that in earlier pages, specifically 50-51, the many characters initially spreading scandal about HCE gradually coalesced into more distinct figures like Mr. Brown or Mr. Nolan. But then, even these seemingly separate individuals threatened to merge with HCE himself. This fluidity of identity is absolutely central to the novel's philosophical core.
So it's not just a shifting narrative or recurring events, but the very characters themselves are fluid and interchangeable. That's a challenging concept for traditional narrative understanding.
It fundamentally challenges it. Take, for instance, the officer of the peace, Long Lolly Tompkins, mentioned on pages 63 and 67, who is depicted as involved in HCE's arrest. Scholars note that he has a good deal of HCE about him, meaning he embodies many of HCE's characteristics or serves as another manifestation.
Okay.
Similarly, the unsolicited American from pages 70-73, who was a key figure in the previous incident, is simply not distinguished from HCE throughout the last 3 paragraphs of the chapter. They become indistinguishable.
Wow.
Even the Continental reporter from pages 69-70, who chronicles HCE's notoriety, is described as but a chip from the old tree, implying he's merely an offshoot or reflection of HCE himself.
So these figures, who seem to be distinct characters or antagonists, are actually facets or echoes of HCE. Different guises, the same underlying force. This really blows open how you think about individual identity in the book.
That is the profound implication. As Campbell articulates it, the antagonists, the accusers, are ultimately 2 sides of a one same power of nature. He suggests they are not truly separate entities, but rather polarized for reunion by the synthesis of their antipathies.
Meaning their opposition is what drives them back together.
Exactly. Their very antagonism is what drives them towards an eventual reconciliation or re-emerging into a unified whole. It's an incredibly sophisticated concept, suggesting that conflict isn't just external, but an internal dynamic of the self.
This insight helps you grasp one of the Wake's most challenging aspects, the fluidity of character. Suggesting identities aren't fixed, but fluid, often representing larger archetypal forces.
It encourages us to look beyond surface distinctions and see the deeper unity.
That's a truly profound way to think about character, especially in a work as dense as this. Building on this idea of flowing identities, let's move on to 6.2, the cyclical nature of events and HCE's journey. We need to understand how these specific pages fit into the larger, grand narrative cycle of HCE's story. His reputation, arrest, incarceration, a pattern that itself seems to be endlessly repeating.
This is where the Wake's unique narrative structure becomes clear. Chapter 2, for example, established HCE's agnomen and reputation, his name, his notoriety, how he was perceived. Chapter 3, the one we're currently deep diving into, has then discovered the main outlines of the history of his arrest and incarceration. But it's crucial to understand that these aren't isolated events. They're part of a repeating pattern, a cyclical drama that plays out again and again.
And the sources clearly note that the curious night encounter on pages 070073, which we just analyzed, is explicitly reminiscent of the earlier encounter with the cad on pages 35-36. It's even suggested that this entire episode may be simply a reduplication of the earlier encounter. So events don't just happen once, but echo and repeat with variations.
Exactly. This highlights Joyce's masterful use of reduplication, where events don't just occur linearly, but reverberate, echo, or repeat, often with subtle or significant variations. The first encounter, with the cad with the pipe, led directly to the rumor, which spawned the famous ballad about HCE's fall.
Right.
Similarly, this second encounter, involving an officer of the peace, leads to a trial and eventually to his incarceration. While his initial trial on page 67 went in his favor, public rumor rose so strongly against him that he was later incarcerated for his own protection on page 69.
So it's not linear progress, but a continuous, often recurring cycle. Transgression, accusation, trial, fall, and then eventual awakening and return.
That's it. It's a rise and fall, history as a fusion of returning characters and new guises, which is explicitly identified by scholars as the narrative pattern of Finnegans' Wake. This meta-narrative perspective helps you connect the seemingly disparate events of these pages to the wake's grander design, offering a roadmap for understanding its unique approach to time and narrative.
Where history itself is a dream that keeps recurring. That's an incredibly powerful framework for approaching the wake. It makes sense of the incredible density we've just traversed.
Indeed. It's all part of the grand circularity, a never-ending dream.
Well, we've certainly taken a profound deep dive today through pages 72-74 of James Joyce's Finnegans Wake. We've journeyed from drunken dream state transgressions and bizarre cricket antics, through echoes of historical sieges and mythological departures, to prophetic awakenings and a truly comical slumber. It's been an incredible masterclass in how Joyce masterfully blends psychology, history, mythology, and linguistic play to create something utterly unique and endlessly fascinating. These pages are a dense, challenging, but ultimately rewarding experience, revealing the depth of Joyce's genius.
And these pages truly invite us to question the very nature of narrative, memory, and self. I mean, really think about it. If characters can merge and events endlessly repeat in new guises, what does that imply about our own sense of identity or the linear progression of our lives? Perhaps the wake is suggesting that all stories are ultimately one, continually folding back upon themselves, much like the word stops itself, endlessly recurring and reversing. It encourages us to find universal patterns in individual stories, in the history of cities, and perhaps, in our own lives, acknowledging that the past is never truly gone, but merely sleeping, waiting for its moment to reawaken.
A truly provocative thought to leave you with, and one that resonates long after you finish these pages. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Finnegans Wake. We hope you'll revisit these pages with your newfound insights, perhaps even holding them upside down, and keep engaging with the show for future explorations. Until next time, keep exploring the depths of knowledge and the cycles of life.